Hi, everybody. My name is Cindy McDonald, and I'm the youth director. Traditionally, our students have participated in the Good Friday service, and under the circumstances, we will not meet. So we are going to share our 2019 video with you. This service means so much to our students, and it's very meaningful and important to them. Also, please know that you are in our thoughts and prayers, to pray without ceasing and to never give up. Thank you.
And he said, I say to you, Peter, the rooster will not crow today until you have denied me 3 times that you will know me.
Do not stay so far from me, for trouble is near, and no one else can help me.
The week began with such hope. The praises of the crowd as we entered into Jerusalem. People shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna. I thought they were going to crown him king that day. You know, I believe that Christ knew everything that was going to happen to him. I wonder if he closed his eyes a single time that Passover Eve. I was so sleepy. Another failure. Somehow I kept taking my eyes off of him and sinking into the waves. Somehow I always managed to say and promise more than I actually did. You know, I would have killed for Jesus. As we were on our way into the garden, he said, this very night, you will all fall away on account of me. I was amazed at the fact that Jesus doubted us. Then he said something that startled me. He said, before the rooster crows, I will disown him 3 times. I had never seen Jesus in such turmoil, struggling in prayer. His body was tormented with sobs. If only there was some way I could have helped him. I swore to follow him to the death, and I couldn't even stay awake. And then there was this mob of men. I followed them at a distance into the courtyard. And then it happened. Within a matter of time, I had denied him, and as soon as I said the words, the rooster crowed. I will never forget that look on Jesus' face. It was like an invisible sword piercing my heart as I looked into his eyes.
And Jesus said, "Am I some dangerous criminal that you have come armed with swords and clubs to arrest me? Why didn't you arrest me in the temple? I was there every day. But this is your moment, the time when the power of the darkness reigns."
Oh God, this is my complaint. Do not let my enemies' threats overwhelm me. Sing from the plots of the wicked, from the scheming of those who do evil. Sharp tongues, all sides they wield, bitter the shoot from ambush at the
It itches. You know when you fall asleep on your arm and you wake up and it's all tingly? That's what my ear feels like. I hope it goes away. You know what bothers me most? We were wrong. All of us. Pilate, the captain, the other guards. We were all wrong about him. There were too many of us there. 30 of Pilate's top guards hiding out in a garden so we could take one man prisoner. Judas was there. He was shaking like a leaf. He told us that the one he kissed would be the one we should take. I already knew what Jesus looked like. My captain had sent a small squad to go and keep an eye on Jesus. This guy was no threat. Now, I didn't really believe he was doing miracles. Not at the time, anyway. But this man could talk. 5,000 people in a crowd, and he just stands up and starts talking. Everybody sits. They all listen. I listened too. It was like he was talking right to me. So anyways, Judas goes tramping off in the garden and sneaks up behind Jesus, and he kisses him on the cheek. From where we were, we couldn't hear what Jesus said to him, but Judas looked like somebody had just knocked the wind out of him. 30 guards go screaming into the garden. Jesus' followers? Well, they were all sleeping. They were just now figuring out there was a problem, and we were already on them. Jesus doesn't even resist. He looked like he had already been beaten. So I grab his hands to tie him up. One of his followers grabs his sword and he swings it at me. You know the weird part? I saw it coming. I remember looking up like I had all day to get out of the way. I moved my head and the blade caught me in the ear. It felt like the whole side of my head was on fire. I hit my knees and I grabbed the side of my head. I could feel the blood pouring through my fingers. And I looked down, and there's my ear, lying on the ground. I couldn't speak. Then Jesus, he reaches over with the hand that we didn't have a rope on, and he touches my ear. He just touches it, and the pain goes away. I don't mean it faded or lessened. I mean it just went away. I felt the side of my head, and there my ear was again. My hand was still covered in my own blood. There was no wound. There wasn't even a scratch. I look at Jesus, and he looks at me, and I know everything they said about him was true. He was the Son of God. He was the Son of God, and we arrested him like a criminal, and they're crucifying him right now. We were wrong. I'm supposed to be there, but I didn't go. They'll probably kick me out over this, but I don't care. It's doing that again. It'll be over soon. We were wrong.
Just as I am, you welcome me. With open arms, how can this be? My guilt is undone, my past is untethered. I leave it behind and run to my Father. There is no disappointment in your eyes. There is no shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you.
So unreserved your heart for me. My fear is gone, I am set free. There's nothing to hide, there's nothing to measure. 'Cause his name is Yahweh, that's all that matters.
There is no disappointment in your eyes. There is no shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you. There is no distance in your embrace. Over and over again you say, I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you.
You're changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything.
You are changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. You are changing everything. I believe it, I receive it. You are changing everything. There is no disappointment in your eyes. shame, there is only pride. I am loved, Father, I'm loved by you.
Jesus answered him, I tell you the truth, today you will be in paradise with me.
Save me, O God, for the floodwaters are up to my neck. Deeper and deeper I sink into the mire. I can't find foothold to take off. I'm in deep water and the floods overwhelm me. I'm exhausted from crying for help. My throat is parched and dry. My heart is swollen with weeping, waiting for my God to help me. Those who hate me without cause are more numerous than the hairs of my head.
The first thing I noticed about Jesus was his hands. I knew right away he was a carpenter like me. My father started taking me along to crucifixions when I was about 13. Said it was the worst part of the job and I would just have to get used to it. He also said you could tell a lot from a man's hands. I remember when the tax collector would come around, Father would hold out the coins and wait for him to hold out his own hands. He'd look down, shake his head. You know, I think my father would have respected Jesus. Did I tell you about his hands? My father said that when you're crucifying a man, you have to have enough respect not to look him in the face. You have to think of it as a job, like any other. You're the one in town who has the wood. You have the nails. You have the experience. It's just a job. He also said you had to be quick. There was to be no foolishness. You also had to put the spike in the right place. Or when you drove it in, you'd hit the bone. If you hit the bone, the wrist would tear through and the man would bleed to death in a matter of minutes. Now that's not what they want. They want a slow, painful death. The moment I saw Jesus, I did exactly as my father said I should never do. I looked at his face. He was a mess. He'd been beaten. He was bruised. They had shoved a crown made out of thorns over his head. There was blood running down his face. And then I saw his eyes. I've never seen eyes like that before. It was as if you looked at him for too long. You could fall into them. And he spoke to me. Do you know what he said? He said, I forgive you. You think I'm crazy, don't you? He said, I forgive you. I'm the one who put him there. It was my nails. It was my hammer. I nailed the man to a piece of wood, and he forgave me. He said a lot of things about him and why he was there. I don't believe it. He was a carpenter, just a carpenter. Usually I wait around until after they take the bodies down so I can get my things back. They can keep them. I can't do this anymore.
Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. And they divided up his clothes by casting lots.
Please, God, rescue me. Come quickly, Lord, and help me. May those who try to destroy me be put to shame. May those who take the life of my trouble be turned back to disgrace. Let them be horrified by the
I won. You know something? I never win. And this time, I won. And I've never been more miserable. We threw dice for his stuff. We always throw dice for the stuff. I just never win. We're not supposed to, but the captain, he looks the other way. Sometimes he takes a cut. If the prisoner has a bag of gold or silver, the captain takes it and we just play for the guy's stuff. Clothing mostly. Sometimes jewelry. All this Jesus guy had was a cloak. That's it. What's strange is the odds were worse. They put 20 of us on duty for 3 guys being crucified. The official party line was that the Sanhedrin was afraid that some of Jesus' followers were going to try to rescue him. So they put 20 of us on duty. His followers, they all left. They just let him hang there. The women, they never left. They stayed right there till the end. His mother, she just screamed at us when she saw what we were doing. So there's all of us there. We all roll. Half of them are out of the first roll. Then 2 rolls later, I'm standing there, holding his cloak. I won. We had no more finished when the sky turns black and it starts to rain. When he was just about dead, the captain decided his followers aren't going to try anything, so he sent half of us home. I'm standing there, holding his cloak, and I look up at him. The rain's coming down and it's washed the blood from his face. He's opening his mouth, trying to get a drink. Finally, he opens his mouth and he says, "Forgive them. They don't know what they're doing." Now, I've been to a lot of crucifixions. I've seen people scream at the crowd and yell obscenities at me and the other guards. I've seen people beg for mercy. I've seen people ask their God to take them immediately. I've seen others just hang there and weep. But I've never seen anyone ask their God to forgive the people who hung him there. But you know something? I think he was, no, I'm sure he was asking his God to forgive me, too. Me and the others. Mostly me, I guess. Hey, I'm the one who won the robe. He's hanging there, suffocating and bleeding to death, and he wants God to forgive me because I gambled for his robe. I tell ya, I was so glad when the captain sent me home with the others. He's dead by now. I won.
Then the little children were being brought to him in order that he might lay his hands on them and pray. The disciples spoke sternly to those who brought them, but Jesus said, "Let the little children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of the heavens belongs."
I don't usually come to these things, but for some reason, I thought I should come to this one. You see this? This is my Sarah's doll. She's always leaving it someplace, so I carry it for her. She's the one who took me to see Jesus. She kept saying, "Let's go see the storyteller. Let's go see the storyteller." And even though I had a million other things to do, I took her. There were so many people. Some of the children tried to sneak up to the front and Jesus' followers told him to get back. But Jesus said, "Wait, it's okay. Let the children come." My Sarah ran faster than all the others, and he picked her up and sat her in his lap. Well, she never lets anybody do that, except for me. But she sat in Jesus' lap for an hour and never made a peep. Oh, and he could tell stories. There were hundreds of people there, and you swear he was talking just to you. And when he finished, all the children came back laughing and singing. My Sarah left her doll behind. She's always leaving it someplace. Well, Jesus, he finds Sarah's doll, brings it over, and hands it to me. You should have seen his eyes. They were the most beautiful eyes I have ever seen. And to think, they started to say he was some sort of radical, that he was trying to overthrow the government. Well, that's just silly. All you had to do was listen to him. He wasn't any sort of criminal. He was just a storyteller. And then I heard that he was being arrested. And I couldn't believe it. And then I heard he was being crucified. Sarah said we should go. But I didn't want her to see anything like this. She's too young. Look, they're setting up the cross now. Oh my God. What are they doing to him? You murderers! He didn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve that. He is just a storyteller.
I've been strong and I've been broken within a moment. I've been faithful and I've been reckless at every bend. I've held everything together and watched it shatter. I'm still tall and I have crumbled in the same breath. I have wrestled and I have trembled toward surrender. Chased my heart adrift and drifted home again. Under blessing till I've been desperate to find redemption. And every time I turn around, Lord, you're still there. I was found before I was lost. can never add up to be somebody you still want. But somehow you love me as you find me. Who am I to think your glory needs my praises? If this far breath is yours, Lord, take it on. You are faithful and you are gracious, and I'm just grateful. You don't need a single thing, but still you want my heart. I was found before I was lost. I was yours before I was not. You wear the scars for all my mistakes, and that part just wrecks me. And I know I don't deserve this kind of love, but somehow this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I can never add up to be somebody you still want, but somehow you love me as you find me. 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 You're not too good to leave me here. You love me as you find me. You're not too good to leave me here. You love me as you find me. You're not too good to leave me here. You love me as you find me. You're not too good to leave me here. If you want my heart, I won't second guess, 'cause I need your love more than anything. I'm in, I'm yours, your love's too good to leave me here. Your love's too good to leave me. If you want my heart, I won't second guess, 'cause I need your love more than anything. I'm in, I'm yours, your love's too good to leave me here. And I know I don't deserve this kind of love, but somehow this kind of love is who you are. It's a grace I can never add up to be somebody you still want, but somehow you love me as you find